Hello, Pisces. I hope everybody's doing well today. Certainly looking forward to this reading. Got a lot of energy and dreams last night surrounding kind of making a new start and letting go of baggage. So as we take a look at things today, my hope is to basically help you feel, we've been talking about this in a few signs this week, basically about letting go of any anchors or anything that might be sort of inhibiting movement. So let me just pull up a monitor on the side here. And while I'm doing that, welcome everyone. This is your monthly reading. You can use this for your sun, rising, moon, and your Venus. And also you can watch on behalf of other people in your life if you'd like to. We're going to go a little deeper into sun, rising, and moon messages towards the end of this. So I'd love for you to stick around if you'd like to get that information as well. All right, I'm all set up here. We're going to go straight into channel messages first. This comes to me primarily through dreams and meditation. And as I said, today is kind of like a reset. That's what I was picking up for you. So let's get this started, folks. Okay, here we go. There were three primary sort of things that I was picking up on. The first was an opportunity to basically add a little bit more, basically being more concise in your life so that people can understand what's going on. It's also, there's a lot of cutting, and this makes sense, like cutting of cords, cutting of anything that isn't sort of adding to the overall trajectory of where you're headed. We'll get into it in a second. And this kind of also goes into helping you step into the next opportunity. So I saw travel as a metaphor for that, but I think this could also be about letting loose any sort of emotional baggage, energetic baggage as well, so you can travel through life with more ease. And then a little bit of information around confusion with you and someone else, or someone conflating who you are with someone else. So we'll talk about that as well. Beginning with less is more. So the way this came through intuitively for me was a vision of people in a theater falling asleep because the movie wasn't engaging. And so I'm sure we've all seen a movie like this where the special effects are there, the actors are good, but something about the way that it's moving, the script is moving, it's not keeping us engaged. And it's amazing what editing can do in that sort of situation. So what I see for some of you is a chance for you could be in a quote unquote tired script. So maybe all the things, all the pieces together seem to sort of like look like they're successful from an external lens. Your parents, your friends, and everyone else, but you're kind of in that theater of your mind, yawning, thinking it's like either this job or relationship or what you're studying at school or what you're doing in your activities. Nothing's quite engaging you. So it's a chance to rewrite. That's exactly what we should be doing if you're watching this live or even in the first couple weeks of May. Retrograde is really good for revisionary sort of action. So deciding, why don't I change this up? Why don't I, edit this or rethink this? So the cycle's played itself out and you get a chance to reimagine a different ending, a happier present as well. Same thing goes for activities. Shake it up, shake up the routine a little bit. And with this is really important for those that happen to be either in school or in the work phase of their life. If you're in the process of pitching something and you happen to watch this reading and it correlates with your timeline here, think about going at it from a different point of view, maybe pulling back a little bit, not sort of show more, don't say more, or maybe splitting it up into two different presentations. Make things more digestible. That's what I was picking up on. I liked the source material, but it was too much, too long, or too confusing. And ultimately here, I chose the Eight of Pentacles because, first of all, anything that you decide to invest in the Eight of Pentacles you get a return on that investment. So it's good for writing, revising, pitching, all of that. But it is about making sure that you don't put it all out there. Leave people wanting a little bit more. That's really what this is about as well. Okay, next slide. Time to lose the baggage. So I saw two different visions as I was waking up this morning. One was sort of like a storage facility where you couldn't remember where the storage unit was and you didn't have the keys and there was confusion. And another one where I saw just a bag not making it to that carousel when you're at the airport. So to me, it's saying don't carry so much, don't store so much. Let's let go of some of it, because in those scenarios, what happens sometimes is the universe helps you get rid of it in one way or shape or form. So if you're moving forward in the next phase of life, it could be a physical move from one house to another. It could be from one job to another, or you're graduating into a new phase of life. You're moving in with somebody, something like that. whatever it is, there's some things in your energy or that you're carrying with you physically that may not need to go with you in this next phase. So you could always gift them to someone in your life that you know needs them. You could give them to charity. You could recycle them. There's a chance to just sort of make some space for new things to come in as well. So it doesn't mean a literal losing of baggage. Though, if you are traveling during retrograde, it makes sense to have travel insurance anyway. And if you're going to do a lot of traveling, make sure that, there are certain travel cards and things like that that build in that kind of insurance. But I'm looking more at it from a bigger lens so that everybody here can benefit, which is, what are you carrying with you day to day in your thoughts, in your energy, and sometimes in your surroundings? It's time to lose some of that and to allow yourself to move more freely, like the Fool here, who just carries that knapsack and can go forward in each day, just feeling like they don't have to carry the weight of the world with them. And then this one was really interesting, and I put the word conflate in my notes as I woke up, which is sometimes taking one thing, confusing it, or merging it with another and thinking it's the same thing when they're distinctly different things. What happens sometimes, the company that you keep, people that you're with, sometimes people always see you with someone or associate you with something, and there could be blurring of lines with that. There could also be someone who thinks they know you, and they're trying to project this vision of themselves on you, because I saw like two faces fading in and out or blurring in and out. And to me, that was sort of like needing to really stand up for yourself, state what you stand for, speak up if someone misspeaks or misrepresents you, especially that. And that's why I put the Justice card here. If someone's misrepresenting you, you're going to be Lady Justice, hold up that sword and say, actually, that's not true. This, and this is what we talked about. This is what I said, and this is what I want. So this is finding your voice, and it's hard sometimes. I get it, especially for water signs, because there's more sensitivity and you really want to make people happy. But it's important in this moment, particularly if it has to do with your job, your well-being, your money, anything of that nature, to speak up. Let me just look at the bullets, make sure I touched on everything. Let's see here. Oh yeah, you're your own person. I think that's one thing to really remember here. So for those of you that may be like a twin, whether identical or fraternal, or maybe you have like a best friend and it's almost like people just associate the two of you as attached at the hip, this gives you a chance to just create some activities and some moments in your life where there's some separation so that you can create and cultivate your identity, because it is unique. Even if there's someone around you in either visage and the way they look, or because you hang out so much that you feel like it's almost like your shadow. Be your own person is really what I was getting here. Okay. Ultimately, these are things that I feel like you can thrive at. Editing is something we can all benefit from. You'll be happy that you took out a little less. You can always put something in, you can't take it back. Think of it that way. It's always easier to travel without carrying all this stuff behind you. Frequent flyers know this. They know exactly what they need and they don't overpack. And then really identifying who you are, what you stand for, all of these things are going to help you in love, in career, in life in general. All right. Thank you so much for the folks reminding everyone to like and subscribe. It helps the algorithm. That's the only reason us creators have to say it. So yeah, please do give me a like as we go into the next section. We're now going to take a look at the Celtic Cross. Let me just zoom in the camera here. The Celtic Cross is going to help us travel through the next 6 to 8 weeks. It even takes you into the next month a little bit. So without any further delay, let's take a look and see what's coming in for all of you. Thanks for making some time with me today. I do appreciate it. I hope that your Friday is going pretty nicely, and hopefully this reading will help it be even better. If you ever need to see any of the decks that I use, you can use the pinned comment on the right, and they'll be listed on my website. I'm using the True Heart Intuitive by Rachel True today. So I can already see a little bit of healing going on for some of you, and movement, travel. So that message was also timely. Okay, give me a second here to finish expanding it, and then we'll get into the forecast. Let's see, I think I'm going to use Ganesha for our catalyst this month to help you overcome any obstacles. Can't read it, but it says decision time. Welcome, everybody. Always cool to see what part of the world you're from. So thank you for showing up in different time zones. I appreciate all the live folks here as well. By and far, one of my favorite energies as a totem to come through. We'll talk about Jupiter a little bit here, and it's coming through health, wealth, love, and relationships. Very auspicious card. Let's see. Okay, let's begin. We're going to start with the Catalyst card, and the Catalyst today is about making a decision. The Catalyst functions as a way to start action, maintain that action, and stay in the best possible direction or trajectory. So there could be a difficult decision at hand, but Ganesha is here to help you get unblocked. And as we look at the cards, it's also, that'll help you out. But this card is also saying the decision will open things up for you, because that's what Ganesh does, is basically open up portals and passages. So I feel like the hardest thing is maybe just articulating the decision for some of you. Let me see if there's anything else that I want to focus on this. I'm also looking at the eye contact here. So people are going to be looking at you when you convey your wishes. And if they see it in your eyes, if they can hear it in the tone of your voice, if your nonverbal cues are reading as confident, affirmative, clear, that's going to help you get the message home even more than the words that you choose. Let's now take a look at the Celtic Cross here and see what is coming through here. I like to scan it quickly to get an overall flavor. So I was talking about a script that had been played out. I can definitely see that. We're starting off with the world in the recent past. So something has ended, something's beginning. So we like that. There's some healing to do. There's some traveling that's on the horizon, or some movement here. And then there's some trust issues that we're going to look at as well. But overall, the energy is good, especially if I'm looking at possibilities in near future. There's a portal, there's an opening that wants to come through, and we just have to kind of move through this thing here. So let's kind of walk through the tarot and see what's happening card by card. Your centermost card is about stress management. So one of the biggest challenges is just going to be getting out of your own head, out of your own sort of rabbit hole that you create for yourself. And we're all guilty of this from time to time. So if you can try to look at, I like constructive criticism. I think it's good to look at things that you might be nervous about and create a contingency plan. But once you've done that, once you've got that sort of, okay, I have my padding, I have my plan B, plan C, there comes a point where you just have to move forward. And this card is saying, don't get ahead of yourself too far. And definitely don't give too much weight to the naysayers or people that are just incapable of seeing what you want to do. So a little bit of nerves, a little bit of constructive criticism are great. Too much, it gets in the way of things. Focus on your sleep and your sleep consistency. So are you, and also I would say like caffeine intake, because this can be a caffeine headache. This can be not getting good quality sleep or not getting enough quantity of sleep as well. So really focus on that. Ultimately, it's coming from the root of stress, or even just kind of like self-care. So those are things to look at as well. Crossing this card is a pretty good one, actually. We have the Seven of Wands. So that tells me that some of you are on the heels of success. Six of Wands is success. Seven of Wands is what happens to you after success, which is more people coming at you, more visibility, more criticism, sometimes more stress. And in that case, what you really want to be focusing on is knowing when and where to fight a battle, knowing how much work you're willing and ready to take on, and again, creating that voice and that sort of the boundaries, the healthy boundaries in your life. So there is a defensive stance in the Seven of Wands, but in this one, she has it. She has it like handled, and she's not so nervous. If we look at the traditional one, the person is ducking a little bit more and is a little more nervous about everything that's being thrown their way. Here we go. And so I would say I like the confidence that I see in the modern card versus this one. So the traditional one, you can even see he's kind of like grimacing a bit and pushing back, and there's a lot of movement. In this one, the worst is done, and she's like, all right, try me, I've got this. So I'd love for you to have that sense of confidence. I've got this, I can handle this. I just need to do this, this, and this, and I just need to speak up. So a lot of like throat chakra activation so far is what I'm picking up on. It feels like many of you already have the boss energy within, even if it's not something that you kind of wear on your sleeve. As we look in the deep past, we have the King of Wands, which is a perfect card for management, for control, for speaking up, basically for being in charge. So I quite like this as an indicator of the work you've done on yourself. It may just be a matter of, we can kind of see him as a fire breather here. It's just a matter of letting it come out, letting people showing people what you have. And that's not always the easiest thing. I understand that. So practice makes perfect, and I'll leave it at that. This is a really good card for managing your affairs, managing new creative ideas. It's saying that you should really have an active role in whatever it is that you want to breathe life into, and that's what the fire represents as well. So take an active role, take an active stance, fight for what's important. Don't fight, generally speaking, all the time. Fight when it matters the most. All right, let's take a look at what's coming through here in your recent past. So something's overdue. A movement is overdue. The World card, if we look at it upright, one of the most auspicious symbols, she literally is holding the world. She has the world in her hands, and she's wearing all of the symbols that we normally see in the four corners. So this is really saying, own the change or the move that you know is inevitable and that you know is sort of upon you. And once you allow that to happen, things will just start spinning in the right direction, like the globe there. A reversed world can say, I'm done with this and I need to move geographically, physically, mentally into a different space. So this could be a 180 or 90-degree turn energetically saying, let's go over here, let's go over here, let's go back in that direction, but I'm done with this one. And so once you do that, cool things happen. It's an expansion card. So for those of you that own your own business or have been looking for a breakthrough moment, this is usually showing distribution, attention, or the ability to reach beyond the borders of where you live or where you work. And all of those things are favorable. So I really, really like that. Don't be afraid to look at things from a different perspective. Don't be afraid to get outside perspective, outside of your world or your level of expertise. So we're definitely seeing that with this as well. All right, in the crowning position, surprise, surprise, but not really, we have the Eight of Pentacles. And the Eight of Pentacles is what I was highlighting earlier, which was basically doing the work and editing and revising and thinking of things, again, from a different perspective. I also like the little tiny spider web in the corner. Recently, I had one land on my head when I was out on the patio the other day. And the spider to me represents the ability for you to basically, if you don't like what you're seeing in your life, it's saying weave a different outcome, weave something that you are looking for. It's a creative card, which you're very much able to do right now. I was just looking back at the replay too, making sure I believe this one was in the upright position, which it was. So the fact that this is upright is basically saying the most important thing for you to do is simply to sort of like sign up and show that you're on board for something. I love the tendrils of the tree. I love the fact that this is going to be something substantial. I also like that we sort of see what look like cherry blossoms there. So we're going from a period where maybe there hasn't been a lot of movement or growth, but you put a lot of investment, you put a lot of attention into something, and all of a sudden now you're starting to see that breakthrough. And it comes when you believe, and it comes maybe for some of you too when you repackage it a little bit. All right. So this could be returning to school. This could be, again, taking something that you hadn't finished and deciding to finish it right now. The minute you decide to move forward, move on, change things up a little bit, then we have a Three of Wands card in reverse. This is overdue success, overdue recognition, and an opportunity that you don't actually have to wait for. As you know, in the traditional card, you're waiting for the ship to come in. This card doesn't even bother showing where the ship is. You're right over the sea, and the birds are all around you. Actually, we can see in the very distance here, there's the ships. Usually they're a feature on the card somewhere. But I would say traditionally with this, with the Three of Wands in reverse, you're either looking in the wrong direction or you're not opening up your imagination to see that it could be happening right now, possibly just by changing things up a little bit. So that's the main opportunity right now, is to say, I thought it would be this way, but what if I talk to this person, or I do this, or I just kind of accept that this is moving, this is where the energy is. So something is imminent, something is happening, and it requires maybe just focusing in a different direction. And if you can do that, some really great things can happen. Let me check on Apollo. He's doing something in the other room, and then we'll talk more about this. He was just playing in his bed. I heard some noise and I wanted to make sure Apollo was fine. All right, so with the Three of Wands here, the other thing I would say for some of you is there could be news from afar, especially with the World and the Three of Wands in reverse. These two cards can represent something unexpected but good. Surprises aren't always, surprises can be good, like a surprise party or something, or like you win something. So this could just be an announcement, a recognition, and it will, for some of you, be an upheaval, because this could say, yeah, we think you're great for this, but this requires movement from this place to another, or there's a lot more visibility and things of that nature. For some of you, you might be stressed because this actually tells a story. Something that's been a long time coming, may have been promised, but never actually fulfilled. All of a sudden now it's happening and you're like, oh, wow. And people could even be coming to you wondering like why. Really, you've done the work, and some of you have been waiting longer than you needed to wait for like advancement or recognition. And so if it doesn't happen now, I actually think it's time to move on based on what we're seeing here. There'll be other doors, but always have in your hip pocket that new offer letter and go for it. Never sort of say something before you have your safety net in place. I always want to underline that. It's important to make sure that you can take care of yourself. Okay. Also, these are two travel cards. This is a travel card. So moving, traveling, traveling. That's why I was looking at the Fool energy earlier in my own dreams and meditation. All right, how are you showing up? As yourself, but a little bit sensitive, a little bit in a place where you need to recharge the battery. So I'm happy to see Prince of Cups coming through for you. Knights show movement. Look at the little tendrils here from the sea creature in the background there. So one thing this is what I was talking about, letting go of certain things, some of the baggage, emotional baggage. So there could be an ex in the picture. There could be some hurt feelings over something that didn't happen. Again, it could even be professionally. Whatever's going on, there's a little bit of healing to do or to be done, because we even see the Three of Swords here also reversed. And we see the eye coming through. It's saying, let's shift our perspective. Let's look at what's been causing this, but then let's let it go and look in a different direction. So focus on self-healing first and foremost. It will help everything in your life, from your physical health to mental health to relationships to your wealth. So I'm giving you encouragement and permission to just take care of you. And sometimes it's not that we're not allowed to do that, but we're just not encouraged to do that for whatever reason. So know that by prioritizing your own health, everything's going to go in a good direction. Okay. Let's see what's going on here. So in the environment, if we're going to get the Three of Swords, I'll take it in the environment. It's better than happening to you, with you. This is happening around you so that you can hopefully move on or move beyond something. It's a little better than having a tower situation. Basically, what this would be is an irritant on your skin that's going to get you to pay attention to something. So I'll give you an example. Sometimes we'll have something like you'll stub your toe and then you'll take a look and you'll think, oh, there's actually something going on with, something beneath the skin that I needed to look at, and me stubbing my toe was just having me look in that direction. Or you'll trip over something and then you look at what it was that caught your foot, and it's something that needed to be repaired in the house or something like that. So sometimes we get something that trips us up or hurts us a little bit so that we can get out of a situation or avoid something. It's a precognitive thing, or in this case, an irritant, environmental irritant, so that you move on. Three of Swords can be people that are not supportive of you. So you try to get along with them, but you don't really want to engage with the Three of Swords that much. It's basically disappointment or discouragement or a feeling of like, this morale is not good. So if you're working in a place where the morale is constantly at a low sort of vibration, or you're in a relationship and there's a lot of fighting, or you just don't feel good after being around someone or doing something, that is the blessing. Believe it or not, the blessing is the irritant. And the reason it's there is to get you to get out of that. And sometimes we need that ouch moment so that we can heal. And that's really what this is about. This Three of Swords is beautifully illustrated. Let's pull it up to the main camera. You can see all of these sort of cords and barbs around it. We just need to take the swords and cut the cords, basically. If you added one to this, if you took an ace and started to cut them, you'd have the Four of Swords, which would also be a movement card. So pay attention to what's causing the pain. Pay attention to why you feel the pain. Take action and do things in your life that can alleviate that as well, okay? Three of Swords is just there to inform you that something isn't the best course of action for you. Ultimately, it's moving you on and moving you up and moving you away from this. If we're going to get the Seven of Swords, I want to get it reversed. Let's talk about why the Six is reversed, though. Some of you are just afraid of the movement. Three very positive cards. There's nothing negative with the Six of Swords. It can represent sometimes it's moving on. I really don't read it as a negative card. It's rising above, even as we see it here. She's rising up. She's getting over something. She's getting to the, usually it's going to a better pasture, to a better shore. So this is a chance for you to move on, but there's fear of expansion, visibility, opportunity, the unknown. And I think that's all that could be holding some of you back. But it's better than this. All of those things to me sound oceans better than this. And once you allow yourself to do a little bit of healing and get some perspective, even actually traveling a little bit, like taking a day off, taking a day to yourself and just getting away from a situation, it can give you the clarity like, why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself in the eye of this storm? It doesn't make sense. So your outcome card is actually auspicious, even though we look at the Seven of Swords and we're like, eh. In reverse, it's the opposite of the meaning, which is deceit. So when the card is reversed, it's saying you see through it. You can't outfox the fox. And we have two foxes there. So someone thinks they can get the better of you. If you're watching my channel, you have good intuition. You're paying attention to signs and symbols at the very least, and you're picking up on that. It's also a wake-up call to you to keep the promises that you make and to hold others to account. So this is a chance that if someone's falling short of expectations or promises, whether it's a love relationship, whether it's your employer, whether it's a family member, it's time to cut the ties and to move into a place where you let them know that you're nobody's fool and that you're ready for all these other cool things here. So expansion of knowledge, growth and visibility, new opportunities, the ability to travel freely without anybody judging you and all of this stuff. So liberation is one of the common themes that I'm seeing here, but it has to come from within. I think I was talking about this to Aquarius, but it also makes sense for you before we expand the forecast. And it's basically that you can't make people feel or do something until the cogs and gears inside of them click and say, yeah, I want to do it. Then everything will fit and will work. Before that, it's kind of like the Strength card where you're trying to almost it's like you're a ventriloquist or, holding a marionette and you're trying to pull the cords, which makes, it's devil energy. We don't want to do it. That's why I always caution with the Strength card. You can do that once, maybe twice, but eventually if it's that much of an exertion of energy, it's time to move on. So that's my advice here is cut the cords if people are constantly needing you to kind of ride them like a boss, and nag them on all this stuff. That's not your role. Okay? Let's move on now and expand the forecast. We're going to look at the energies in the areas of health, wealth, love, and destiny, beginning with health. My standard disclaimer is at the bottom of all of these, which is I'm not a substitute for a counselor of any sort in your life or an expert when it comes to health. But what I'm looking at is energy, which can affect your health. So I'm empowering you to make the right decisions, but you are always the one making the decisions. All right, for health, we have balance. The balance card was reversed. It's pretty easy in this situation to see that for your health, well-being, and just general happiness, I would say in this instance as well, that it's going to be important for you to reclaim the balance in your life. You can see that she's kind of making that traditional yin and yang symbol with her fingers. It's almost like a mudra as well. So this is a chance to really reclaim that. And there's a lot of opening, there's a lot of unknown here that could be making some of you feel a lack of balance. Maybe you're the type of person that wants to see it all in black and white, and the reverse balance card is saying sometimes that's not the case. It's just you're going to create something from scratch. Now balance, because it's balance, and balance is justice. When justice is reversed, it's a no, basically. It's allowing you to say no, and it's giving you clarity that there's something that you can say no to. So something doesn't fit, and you don't have to, and you don't want to force it to fit. It needs to happen naturally. So if the other person doesn't want to do their part, or the other activity or energy around you isn't giving you the balance, it's time to move on. All right, specifically now, let's see what other health messages are coming through for you. Okay. Primarily, the main thing that I'm focusing on, there's even a big old eyeball on this, is the Three of Swords. So looking into things in your life that make you feel healthier and happier, getting away from people that don't sort of foster that sense of support and happiness. That's the most important thing, is your mental and emotional health. Because this is the emotional and mental piece, and this is what's sort of aggravating it. Some of you might be on a rebound. We'll talk more about that in a moment. And the weird thing is, you're on a rebound, but there's someone new coming into your life. So it's really about making sure that you are 100% yourself, that you are balanced before you enter into a new relationship. Let's see what else is coming through for health. It could be very beneficial if your environment looks like this, irritating or low morale, to explore new avenues. So whether that's work, love, or just physical living environment, there are options that are presenting themselves. They're not immediately obvious. They require a little bit of research, but you have the wherewithal to create that. And the most important thing is, if you decide to do something, keep the promise to yourself. I've said this before. If you can't keep the promises to yourself, how can you expect others to trust you? Vice versa, if you notice people can't even keep their own promises, much less the ones they're telling you, it's time to cut ties. So be accountable, and if there's people around you that aren't accountable, it's time to move in a different direction. Otherwise, I like what I'm seeing here. Getting out and moving, traveling, all of that stuff is beneficial. With the Three of Swords, there can also be an indication that if there's a family history of blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, things that can affect blood pressure, blood sugar, you just want to be a little bit more aware of that and make sure that you're on top of it. Okay? Now let's focus on wealth, which is your resources, your life purpose, and for those of you that are still working, your career. If you're studying, it's also your course of study. So I cast a large net over that because I know people are at different states of their life as they watch this reading. Your message with respect to that, I saw this, even though it said swan spirit, I thought swan song, but it basically said time for a deep dive. I love the beautiful sort of imagery on this card, but as we look at the swan and we connect it to world and Six of Swords, that is a swan song. That's basically saying, done with that, but look at what's coming in, a Three of Wands moment. One door closes, another opens. So it's really just about recognizing the opportunity that's knocking and saying, yes, I'm okay with change. I'm going to embrace it. Yes, I understand that this is something that I'm attached to, but it's time for me to make a decision for something healthier in my life, or for something more satisfactory, or it's just time to make a decision because that's going to make me feel better. So yes, I see openings energetically that require choices, and in some places either sacrifices or releases as well. If you're going to sign a contract, be very, very picky. So the balance card is making sure that you get what you need out of it, and that someone isn't trying to put something in the fine print. I would, if possible, because we're pretty close to retrograde being done here, praise God. But basically, it's about 15 days into the next month, the 15th or so. Anytime after that, it's a lot easier to sign a new contract. Anytime before that, it's really good to be picky and negotiate. And that's all I'm going to say on that. Let's see if there's anything else that we need to focus on. For those of you that are writers, creative, this is even for, it can be either creative or even scientific. This is about putting things on the record or recording them, possibly later pitching them to others. So it could be an academic writing. It's not always about writing a book. This can be like curriculum, creative, or academic. But I like the research and the data that's in this. So anything that you do that's based on your experiences or your research is going to benefit you and others. And people are going to pay attention to that. And if there is any sort of scrutiny that happens, you're going to end up on the right side of things. Always stick to the facts if you can. I do like the general fact that that's where your money is, because we've got 8. That's the only Pentacles card, yep. Okay, so 8 of Pentacles is good. It is saying keep an eye on your money. Be very sort of clear on all the fine print. All right, so overall, I like what I see. For many of you, there's an encouragement to move on, to move up, to move out. And that's what the Swan is saying. All right, we're going to take a look now at your love card. I talked about this one a little bit earlier when I was just kind of pulling the expanded cards, but we have Angel of Jupiter, which is all about not just awakening, but also expansion. These two cards are absolutely related. So in my dreams and meditations many years ago, before I was even doing this YouTube channel, it was basically right on the precipice of it. So it would have been in 2013, 2014 when I was thinking about quitting my job. Definitely in 2014, I was having dreams like this. But one day I was like, how am I going to make it work? And I went to sleep worrying about this, but I saw the planet Jupiter, and instead of the traditional sort of rusty colored, gold and yellow and all those sort of rings that we see, I just saw all this green from within it, which was saying follow your heart and expansion will follow, because Jupiter is known for expansive energy. I've also seen some photos where there are basically aurora borealis around the poles, and it has some of that green energy. So who knows where I was? Maybe I was astrally projecting to the polar regions of Jupiter, but I've seen this green energy with the planet. It's not just this. It's in the aurora, but I would say there's something within the planet too that has this energy. Who knows? We can only see certain spectrums of light too, so who knows what this planet really looks like. But this is a time to follow your heart, the green energy here. Expansion will follow there. And it's also saying go big or go home, like the next big thing in your life. If there isn't something at stake, if it isn't something that is kind of got this impact, if you're not making a splash, why not? That's what this life is about. So go big or go home. It's kind of what we're getting for you, Pisces, and making a splash. And I think you guys can do that pretty well. Let's look at the relationships and see, hopefully the partners that you call in or the partners that you currently have are going to support this expansive energy. And yes, I'm wearing green today. Thanks, I forgot. I was so in the flow energetically. Thanks for calling it out. I don't wear green that much, but today I was called to do that. So sorry, we're looking at your relationships. We're going to do this in 3 different levels. Those in a loving relationship, those looking for love, those that are happily single. If you're currently partnered, or if you're just looking at the person that you unconditionally love the most, it can be romantic or platonic. Let's see what's going on with the 2 of you. So let's assume all things are great. One or both of you could be dealing with some difficulties in your surroundings. So this could be a loved one that's going through a breakup. It could be some bad news with someone in your life. It could just be something that's causing stress. The stress management then kind of becomes a partner thing where they're feeling it too. If you truly love someone and you're plugged in, their stress is your stress. So anything you can do to minimize yours or that they can do to minimize theirs is going to be key. What you can do if you're the one that's having a good month, basically, is to help them see the big picture. This is showing them like, look at all the other things that are going on. Look at these opportunities around us. Yes, this is happening, but I think that there may be something that has, like, you can minimally control. If it's out of your control, the most you can do is deal with what to do next. This includes your own health issues. So sometimes, you learn about something and it's not what you want to hear. It can be you, your loved one, your pet, and all you can do then is to get information and insight to deal with these 2 things, okay? So I like to look at that perspective. It's because the rest of the cards are pretty good. So let's assume for most of you, it's that. So be there, support each other, look at the big picture, look at all of the options. That's going to help empower situations. There's like 3 narratives for existing relationships, so I'll walk you through them. So that's one narrative. The other narrative is that the truth always comes out. So if there's something that you don't want to talk about, but you have to talk about, it's better to get some perspective and just come clear and come clean with that. I mean, this is your partner that we're looking at. If they can't deal with it, it's a litmus test. And you don't want to build your relationship on a house of cards. So you have to this is just about telling the truth. It's either going to deepen the relationship, and I believe that that was what we saw here. It's time for a deep dive, and relationships are work. So these 2 cards are often connected. So it's either going to deepen the connection or it's going to set you free from one that didn't have the depth and the support that was necessary. So for some of you, there's something important that you need to talk about, and it will either deepen or it will divide. And that's what the truth does. And the truth is there to bless you one way or another. But I'm just going to encourage you to speak your truth or have them speak their truth. Accountability is really important. And if you can't trust the partner, then that's also something that has to be dealt with, basically. Those are the main narratives coming through there. One where I'm seeing a lot of support, but some stress. The other one where I'm seeing this sort of need to speak the truth. Other than that, one last thing that I can see here is expansion. And you may be afraid to talk to your partner. There could be, like, again, an opportunity to move or something really big, but it's going to require shaking up the lives a little bit. If your partner's truly on board or can see the advantage here, you can either make it work long distance if there's a temporary move in place, or they'll move with you or whatever, or vice versa. You'll move with them, but you have to decide what's more important, where you're at in your life or the partnership. And there's no correct answer on this. It's going to be different for everyone depending on where they're at. But those are the narratives that I'm picking up on based on the cards that are pulled here. And all of it involves you deciding what's best. And nobody can tell you but you, including me. You have to decide what's best for you. What does your heart desire? Because your heart is also what's going to create the expansion here, and we can't contract it. Okay, for those of you that are looking for love, you really have first to make the decision. That is the catalyst. That is the purpose of this month. Once you've made the decision, allow yourself to heal, allow yourself to get settled. So I recently moved into this place. I guess it was in December. I would say just now I feel like I'm home. It took me a few months to let the dust settle, and I don't feel like a new person here. I like my neighbors, I like my neighborhood, everything's hunky-dory. But it was a really tough year that I came through. So I'm not Pisces, but I can relate to this. I had to get through this. I had some difficulties, but there was also opportunities knocking as well. And I had to keep, it's not uncommon, folks, for you to have to balance these things. That's why you got this. So a lot of times it can be like both the best and the most challenging aspects of your life happening at once. The universe loves to throw a curveball. So get yourself as balanced as possible, and in your juggling act, because we can see the Three of Wands as a juggler, make sure that you're not letting go of some of the other opportunities around you. So heal, focus, and release the stuff that's not within that sort of energy. If it's not healing and if it's not advancing, it's just noise. And that's the advice that I would give. And the relationship, folks, could be noise. Because when I look at who you're pulling in right now, I don't know if they are what you want right now, because this is someone who needs a lot from you and is very similar. Remember, this is what my dream was about. I saw the conflated energy, the confused energy. I think that until you are completely feeling, now if you're already here, awesome, go out there and you're going to possibly find another water sign. But otherwise, I think focus on the healing, because otherwise I saw a superimposition of someone else on you and they're basically mirroring back what you need to work on. We don't want that. We want you to be pulling in a complementary energy, not an identical one, not one that's teaching. You want a partner, not a teacher. So I honestly think if you're single and happy, you're the reason I dreamed about the blurriness. So I want you to get really clear on yourself first. That doesn't mean that over the course of the next 30 to 45 days that you can't get there and then go out there and date somebody. Always do the work first, though. It's easier. You don't want to be a custodian when it comes to your emotional sort of landscape. And that's kind of what I'm getting here, is that you'll be mopping up your energy and their energy. So heal first. Give it 2 to 3 weeks. I would say by the 3rd week, you're out of retrograde. You've done the healing work. You've let the dust settle. At that point, things are getting a little bit easier. And maybe someone from the past will come in too. The King of Wands. I like the King of Wands energy a little bit more than the Prince of Cups in reverse, because they need too much from you and they're too similar to you, I think, at this point. So that's my advice if you're single and looking. Finally, if you're happily single, you can really focus on studying, working, writing, home improvement, lots of productive energy coming through. And it's creating this sort of spider web or net that's going to capture even more opportunities. So these two cards are really compatible. That is you being the weaver of this opportunity that's really close, if not here already. So I feel like this is a month to focus on personal and professional growth. And a lot of times I'll see people coming in. I'm not seeing it so much this month. So if you're single and happy, keep on focusing on what matters. You're doing a great job. There's probably still a little healing for you as well. And, one of the nice things here is you have at least 1 or 2, possibly 3 opportunities to travel or move or expand. And I think that's really good. That's really good. So let's see here. If there's anything else that I want to talk about here for that, I think that's it. I've covered everything that I can on a relationships sort of front here. Let's take a look at your trajectory here, destiny. I love that we got Isis, who unfortunately her name has been misused in common era, but she is about protection. She's also about healing. She's great at healing. Healing and even like resurrection was a part of her story. So there can be something, so she would be connected to 2 cards I can think of. The High Priestess, of course, but also Judgment, because she helped sort of bring people back to life or help them experience a different level of consciousness. So this is a chance for you to manifest. It's also a chance for you to rise above the ashes of disappointment, failure, or something that didn't work out the way you wanted to, and have a second chance for yourself. It's not going to be identical. The afterlife or future lives, there's never an exact duplicate. It's not the same thing. That's not what life is about. It continues, but this is just a point on the continuum, and we're not supposed to go back to it. So it's supposed to be different. Whatever you're doing next, it's different. She carries the Ankh for power and immortality. She's reminding you that anything, even something that feels like it's the end, it's not the end. It's just the end of that chapter. And so what do you want to write next? What's next in your journey? That could also be Isis there deciding, let's scribble down something new. And as it is written, so it shall be, because writing and speaking is a form of incantation. That's why we pray and have these sort of rituals associated with organized religion. It's because it's a form of magic. It's in all organized religions. So just say it, believe it, do it, and you're going to start to bring it into fruition. All right, let's go to the next portion, which is going to be looking at sun, rising, and moon messages. So again, if you're specifically looking for any of these windows into Pisces, this is for you. It also just gives me a full view of the sign when I look at all 3. Sun, rising, and moon. It's interesting. I've been seeing lunar energy over the past couple of months being the strongest of the 3, but let's just see what's going on for you. Starting with sun sign messages. You're the wizard behind the curtain is what I see here. We just talked about all that magic energy with Isis. She is ostensibly the one looking through the veneer of the firmament above. So when you least expect something to happen, that's usually when the universe says, aha, you're ready, or I'm going to throw this at you because I want to see what you can do. So I always like to look at the 4 of Cups as a chance for there to be a hidden opportunity. Traditionally, this guy here would be looking at the 3 cups in front of him. The hand from above would be offering a cup, but he's usually not tuned into it. Rachel True did a great job with this deck, but this is much different. He's surprised. He decided to look at the opportunity. And what's beneath it? A rose. And roses are great indications of, because they have, they're difficult, they're picky, there's thorns, there's blossoms, so you have to kind of take the good with the not so good. And he's starting to see life for all that it is, beyond this sort of feeling like I don't have control. He has much more control than he's given himself credit for before, but that's changing now. And so it does require the ability for you to keep an open mind and an open heart. And I was just looking at the replay because as I start talking, I'm like, was that reversed? It was reversed. So this is about staying open to that and believing in the possibilities, even when, or especially when they're not all there, because you're manifesting your reality in each and every moment. Sometimes we protect ourselves by disbelieving or canceling something out, but we're also shorting ourselves of that opportunity. So imagine that something could be all of this or greater. I always put this in my manifestations, all of this or greater. And that gives you a chance to really experience all that the universe wants you to, not just what your imagination might bring. So keep an open mind. That's the Cliff's Notes version of that. The rising and ascendant sign messages here, we have the Five of Swords in reverse. I'm very happy that this card is reversed. A lot of your tricky cards are coming through in the higher vibrational energy, which means that you can take a low vibe card like this and read it as high vibe if it's reversed. So the Five of Swords in low vibrational energy would be, I can't win because they're not listening. I'm not listening to them, therefore they can't convey information to me. It's basically, there's a shutdown. Back when I was in school, I had a great English teacher. This was probably in middle school, but he showed the diagram for communication. So there's basically, we have our own sort of CPU where we have a message, we decode it, it gets sent out into the environment, then the other person has to, actually we encode it, they have to decode it when they're listening. So it relies on a few things, that you understand words the same way that I understand words, and that's not always the way that it is, that you're taking my intonation and my communication and understanding what's coming through. So there's empathy, there's decoding, there's a lot of things that happen with language, right? It's actually a dense form of communication. When you work with spirit energy, it's straight in your head. They use visions, sometimes they'll use words, or you just know it. It's a much higher frequency because it doesn't require this, because it really is your brain, your vocal cords, the vibrations that reach the person, their ear, their neurons, their computation. Like there's a lot that goes on in communication. So what I'm seeing here is you're becoming more aware of what works and what doesn't work and finding different ways to communicate. That's the message here. If it doesn't work one way, you can try another. If it doesn't work another way, the channel's broken and it may not work. So you don't need to engage unnecessarily with Five of Swords. So you've either learned how to get around them and talk to someone else, you've learned a better way to communicate to them, or you're just not going to waste the time and energy, because that's a lot of neurons and a lot of vibration and a lot of energy that could be used better in other places. By the way, one of the other things that can break it down is noise or distraction. So the other thing that you could try to do is make sure that you take someone in a different environment so that both of you can focus and you have maybe, or to your environment, so there's home court advantage. But with Five of Swords, if you can't bring it into a better place, it's not worth it. Usually with Five of Swords, you can't win. So you're either gonna circumnavigate, try something different, or avoid it altogether. Alrighty? Now let's move on to moon and, moon messages. So we have the star, confusingly enough, in the moon, but the star is such an auspicious symbol to come through. This is you too. I mean, like, she's basically finding balance. There's all Temperance Angel and star. There's a liquid component to it. Part of this is about allowing yourself to just be yourself. And she is upright. So she's not editing, dimming, over-explaining. So it's kind of like take me or leave me, and people are going to take you or leave you. More people are going to embrace and celebrate that singular thing that makes you you. Because when we look at celebrities, when we look at people that are in their power, they are because they're unique, because they can do something that others don't. And usually that comes with a certain level of comfort. So that's my advice for you, is just to get comfortable in your own skin, to do things that you like, to continue to build and create a foundation with the trust that people will come to you, creating your own Four of Wands moment. There could be a really deep connection or a really auspicious opportunity coming through. I associate this card very much with your soul purpose on the planet. It's reconnecting to the highest possible self. I was reading with the Lightseer deck the other day, and in that deck we actually see the sun or the star connecting. Maybe it was the sun. The sun has a similar energy, but both of these I kind of see like you connecting to this highest possible version of yourself. So as long as you do that, you've got nothing to lose, and you're in the right place, right? Okay. Let's take a look now at one last card, and then we're going to go into the meditation. So for today, we're going to look at the big idea, and then we're going to wrap things up. So is there one piece of advice to help everybody succeed this month, be the best version of themselves that they can? All right, so we have the Six of Pentacles in reverse. So one of the things that you want to focus on in the Six of Pentacles reversed is the ability to say no. And it's not always easy to say no and to make some of these choices. But these are going to be for your highest good. So as we're looking at this is basically saying I can't be everything to everybody. I'm going to decide to put this energy, this time, this focus into this project or whatever right now. And some of the other stuff is going to have to wait. So prioritization, articulation of, what's going on in your life, what you want, and basically holding your ground, as we talked about earlier. All right, that brings us to the final portion for today. Before we do that, before we get into the meditation, just a quick reminder, give me a follow on social media if you haven't already. It's a great way to know of news and information. You can also, of course, please, if you haven't subscribed and liked, the liking does help. It helps other people find this video. If you do happen to follow me, just a reminder that I don't give private readings and I don't use direct messages. If you ever have any doubt of where to find me, go to my website and all of the links are listed there. And thanks in advance for everybody that gave back in a super sticker, super chat, or a membership. I appreciate you guys. Okay, let's focus on your meditation right now. I want to go to the energy of Jupiter, of course, because I really love this and I think this is going to help us out today. So imagine, if you will, that you are on one of the moons of Jupiter. So pick any of the moons that you'd like. And if you can't picture one, just see yourself on a safe space just out of the vicinity of Jupiter. But you see it in front of you like a gigantic theater. It's taking up the entire sky because it's one of the biggest planets in definitely in our solar system, but in almost any of them. It's pretty darn big. So sit here and watch Jupiter and look at all of the rings as they're moving in different directions. Look at all of the movement. Close your eyes and feel that if there are any stuck places energetically in your body, in your mind, or in your life in general, that this is a period that sort of stagnation is coming to an end. Now, tune into the planet in the same way that I did many, many years ago and see if you can't connect to the expansive energy. Maybe it's the color green. Maybe you're just feeling how expansive, large, and sort of all-encompassing this planet is. But know in this moment that if you send a wish into the energy of Jupiter, that it's going to start spinning and moving, and you're going to start to see progress. So just make a wish, almost like it's a candle, and see that energy and see that insight going into the planet, and trust now that Jupiter is going to kind of incubate it like a big old Ace of Pentacles and send back to you a frequency or a clarity on what you need to do next, okay? So it's just you communing with Jupiter as I play the singing bowl, and then we'll take a look at your final card for today. Take a few moments now to come back into your body, to come back into your mind, and allow yourself now to see with clarity and certainty that where there's a will, there's a way. Whatever it is that you want to create, know that your decision, your intention to create that has been heard, and open yourself up now to receive guidance, synchronicities, and opportunities to help bring that into fruition. All right, welcome back, everybody. If you haven't done so already, please open your eyes on the next exhale. Let's take a look now and see what is coming through for your final question that you have for me. So focus on one last question that I haven't yet covered, and let's see what the cards have to say. I always get a kick out of it when there's a complete synchronicity between what I'm saying and what comes through. So we had the Ace of Pentacles. The Ace of Pentacles was in reverse. So basically it's saying don't be afraid to ask for something that you need. Be willing and able to receive something when it comes to you, and be ready and willing to say no, as we talked about before, because the open hands in here are basically like this hand, and sometimes you have to push back on that. So all of those things hold true. Remember that, like if we think of the Ace of Pentacles like a seed that you plant in the ground, or a bulb, or an egg that has to hatch, you have to incubate, you have to put a little bit of time and energy into it. So this is your chance, your opportunity, your call to action when it comes to incubation and basically looking into taking care of something. But Ace of Pentacles is good. Ace of Pentacles reversed is basically making sure also that you're not accepting something less than what's fair, because we saw balance reversed earlier as well. Okay, folks, that's everything for today. I'm going to take a moment here just to say thanks to everybody that joined. Again, please do hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already, but I want to take a couple moments to welcome the newest members and say thanks to anybody that gave a super sticker today. I'll be back again while I'm talking about this on Sunday, and then next week we'll be kicking off the readings for the following month. So May, June, we'll be looking at June next week. So always good to, can't believe how quickly this year is going by, right? All right, I'd like to welcome these folks who have just joined today. Laura and Johan, thank you so much, or Johanne. Thank you very much for being a new member, both of you brand new. And let me take a look and see if we have any super stickers or super chats as well. We have Sophie, thank you so much for that. That was a very generous one too. So Sophie, I hope you have a good day, and thank you for making my day. I appreciate it. All right, everyone, have a great month ahead. Lots of opportunities, lots of expansion, and most importantly, some decisions to be made, but it feels like you have everything you need to make those decisions and make it a great month ahead. Take care, and I'll see you again, like I said, on the weekend. If you haven't already looked at my daily card readings, go ahead to the Shorts tab on the main page, and you can see a one card pull for today as well. All right, everyone, have a great one. Bye-bye.